when you hear the Absolute, what do you think of?
I'm a man of respect. I like to be treated with respect. I like to treat people with respect. I think professionalism is the most important thing. Some of our wrestlers in our culture are some of the hottest wrestlers in the territory.
Absolutely.
And they deserve the spotlight. Wrestling can typecast you as well. It all falls on you now.
What are your thoughts on the Wave and where did those issues stem from?
That they're all a bunch of bitches, and I'll tell you why. You're looking real corny if you ask me. Making my debut for MLW at the ECW arena. There are some moments where I've thought, you know what, if it all ends tomorrow, I think I'm good.
Ringville episode Kris Kage. Yo, what's up everyone? How you doing? My name is Kevin Herrera Sanchez, KHS, and welcome to another episode of Ringville. Today I have the absolute pleasure of somebody who's worked for House of Glory, Loudeast Wrestling, NWA, GCW, Pro Wrestling Magic, Greatest Wrestling Alliance, and many more. He is the current new age heavyweight champion, the absolute Kris Kage. How you doing?
I'm doing, Kev. Thank you for having me.
Of course, appreciate you coming in. Super clean as well.
Try.
You try? No, absolutely. I feel you. You're someone who has their look very much figured out, and just their demeanor and just the way they carry themselves and present themselves. And I believe that you are the same person inside the ring and outside. What was that process like in figuring out your wrestling character or persona throughout your career?
Well, the first problem I have is when you use the word character.
Okay.
Because it's a little dicey to me.
Mm-hmm.
This goes back to being young. You know, my parents were very about looking proper.
Gotcha.
And about presenting yourself the right way, and about having class when you're out there, when you're out in public. And I was just somebody that always admired that effort, if you will. Whether it was in my real life or it was the things that you watch when you watch movies or you watch TV shows and stuff like that. I was always a fan of the guy that looked the coolest, that dressed the coolest, the guy in the suit. Growing up, if we're bringing it back to wrestling, Ric Flair was my guy. I have joked many times. There's a lot of people out there that have heard me say that Ric Flair is my grandfather, and I can't either confirm nor deny that that's true. But growing up a fan of the era of wrestling that I was, you had guys like Flair and others, but when they dressed a certain way, you looked at them a certain way. You treated them a certain way, they commanded a certain type of respect. We see that today in modern wrestling, guys like Cody Rhodes and others that just bring that respectability to what they do and treat this very much as our profession, because that's what it is. It's our job, it's our career, it's our profession, and it should be treated with respect. And I'm a man of respect. I like to be treated with respect. I like to treat people with respect. And you'd be surprised, just like I tell my, students, guys that I've helped, big brother, mentor, how you present yourself determines how people treat you. And there was a time that I was more of your, street thug, came around from the neighborhood, a little more baggy clothes, sneakers, that kind of thing, hoodies and jackets. And the minute I started, the minute I reshaped how I presented myself, the minute I started dressing and presenting myself in a more professional manner, everyone took notice around me. And the day I put on a suit and tie for the first time and walked into a building, I was treated completely different than I was the day before. Shockingly different, but positively different.
And then how do you think that helped you in your wrestling career once you made that change?
Well, it all depends on, it's who you want to be, right? What do you want to be looked at? Who do you want to be, what do you want to be perceived as? And as I mentioned before, I'm a person of respect. I like to walk in the room and people to take notice. I like them to go, who's that guy? Men, women, who just walked in the room. He looks like somebody important. He looks like somebody that we should talk to, that we should do business with, that we should have representing our brand, that we should have as our champion. And then you got, especially now, I'm not trying to disparage the modern generation or anything like that, or the young guys coming up, but you got a lot of guys that comfort is key these days, And if there's one thing I hate, present company not included, but, you got a lot of guys that walk around and do not think it's important to present themselves in a certain type of way. I call this the era of the sweatpants and Crocs, and nothing drives me crazy more. There's a couple of people out there, you know who I'm talking about when you watch this, that show up everywhere they go wearing Crocs, sandals, no shoes, no socks. You know, I kind of find it a little embarrassing, especially in a sport that we're trying to present as serious.
And like, I understand the Croc thing, because for me, Crocs are an indoor shoe. Like,
I don't get it. I don't get where the Croc wave came, and you know they wear them in different colors with different styles and different outfits, and they actually think they're doing something and they look good, and you're looking real corn if you ask me. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you can't see, but you wearing Timbs, like straight up just.
That's right. Well, you know you gotta add that New York flavor in some mix. You know what I'm saying? I am still a New York boy through and through.
For sure, absolutely. You made your debut in 2011, and you worked for various promotions, various companies, and you've been in various locker rooms. What is it like going into a locker room maybe for the first time and kind of assimilating yourself into it?
Every locker room is different, but every locker room is the same, if that makes sense. It's different because, you know, the personalities you're going to come across always going to be different. We come from all walks of life. It's one of the beautiful things about our business is that you get the opportunity to get close with people that you probably otherwise would never even cross paths with.
Right.
And some of those people could end up being your closest friends and, you know, lifelong friendships and things like that. But it's the same in the sense that this is a job. And I tell everyone that's always ever around me, it should be treated that way. It should be treated with no less respect than your 9 to 5. If you're studying to become a doctor, a lawyer, or you have an office job, or you're a telemarketer and you work at home, it doesn't matter. You take your job with a certain amount of seriousness. You make sure you're on time. You make sure you're there presentable. You make sure you show the people that are in charge the proper respect. You know, you go into your locker rooms, you make your introductions, make yourself known, be respectful, try to keep your mouth shut, try not to talk out of turn, do what you're told, and hopefully be welcomed back because of it. But I think professionalism is the most important thing. You know, again, with some of the things we see in the modern day, respect can be something that, you know, could be a little increased, let's just say. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of entitlement in today's age, and there's a lot of I should be able to do what I want when I want and not be reprimanded for expressing myself that way. But there's levels to this. There's a hierarchy. We all start from somewhere. We all come in from the ground level, and we're all trying to get to that main event. And you don't just get there with talent. It's not just in the ring that you get to the top. You know, a good friend of mine, Mike Santana, once said that being successful in the wrestling business is 10% about what you do in the ring and 90% about what you do outside the ring. And it's a very true statement.
When you heard that quote, how did you then apply that to your wrestling career?
I immediately knew what he was talking about. Because I think, as I mentioned before, you know, the modern era, don't get me wrong, of course, in the ring is important, right? This is what we do.
Right.
The performance is everything. But getting to that performance can be a journey in itself. So, you know, teaching guys and guys learning the proper etiquette in terms of approaching getting booked, approaching a promoter or a booker or something like that. And when you do get that opportunity, finding a way to assimilate, like you said, in a way that makes everyone happy, makes yourself happy, makes your promoter happy, your boss, makes them feel like you were worth the investment and vice versa, makes you feel like it was worth putting yourself on the line for them. And you're gonna hear me say the word etiquette a lot probably today because that's how I feel like I applied it, which was how do I conduct myself out of the ring? How do I conduct myself in those locker rooms? What do I bring to the table in terms of my presentation, character, in-ring ability? How do I convey that to the promoters and bookers I'm trying to sell myself to? And trying to figure out, like you said, trying to mold both the proper approach, business mindset. We are a brand. Each and every wrestler is his own brand. And learning how to manage that brand is probably the greatest skill that not many people have, but it's the one you should spend your career trying to figure out.
Absolutely. And you have a brand itself for the Absolute Kris Kage. Even on your glasses, you have the 2Ks.
Yeah,
like
it's always got it.
Always.
24/7.
100%. What was it? Whereas, like, when you hear the Absolute, what do you think of?
Me?
Nice.
No. The Absolute started out as a, I would say like a mission statement.
Okay.
You know, you want to bring it back to fandom. You know, when I was a kid, as I mentioned before, I was a big Ric Flair fan. I was a big Shawn Michaels fan. I was a big Mr. Perfect fan. And, you know, when I was putting that piece of clay and trying to mold who Kris Kage was going to end up being, I knew that all of those influences would be a part of it in some way. So, you know, Absolute came as a derivative of Perfect. I wanted to somehow, you know, incorporate Mr. Perfect into my persona and who that was, and at least just a little tip of the cap to him. And that's where Absolute came from. But it also was a mission statement. It was like it was me putting a goal out there. Because when you claim to be absolute, that's a big statement. You know, that's a big, those are big shoes to fill. That's something you gotta back up, right? And it's something that I always told myself, as long as I call myself the Absolute, I have to live up to the Absolute. And I have to put in that work, and I have to put in that effort, and I have to be as good as I can in the ring, on the mic, behind the scenes. And I don't want it to just be a nickname. I want it to be something that when you hear my name and you hear the word Absolute attached to it, you go, yeah, that's right.
It makes sense.
It makes sense, because it ain't a lie.
And then you talk about being the best, you talk about being the Absolute. You are the current New Age Wrestling Heavyweight Champion.
That's right.
You are in your 742nd day.
I like it even better when you say it.
There you go. Does that, at any means, give you more sense of what you're doing is working? Because you're one, a heavyweight champion, and two, being champion for such a long time.
Absolutely. You know, I was doing this for a number of years before this. I was primarily a tag team wrestler for my entire career up until 2022, 2023, I would say. And going out on your own after being committed to a tag team for so long could be intimidating. Sometimes you, as I did, and I've always been open about it, I very much identified myself as a part of the tag team, and in the beginning didn't really know what my identity was outside of it, and it took me a little bit of time to get my bearings, and even though I've never really had a lack of confidence, it was a different type of confidence that I had to, it's like almost I had to like regain my confidence that I already had. It's different when you have somebody that you could look to. You share the moments where you share the good times, you share the bad times. Someone you could always look for in that corner and tag out if you're in trouble. And when you don't have that and it all falls on you, it's, like I said, it could be nerve-wracking. It could be some guys fold, some guys, you know, I know you've seen it being a fan. Some tag teams break up and it doesn't really work out for one guy or both guys. Or, you know, and sometimes the tag team is really where it's at for both guys. But I was very determined, as it was something that I wanted to do. Even as being a part of the tag team for so many years, there's always in the back of your head, you're like, what would it be like if, you know, could I do it, right? And like I said, it took a little while. I started to get my bearings, and once I did and I started to feel that confidence, I felt like, okay, I got something here, I can do this. And then going to New Age Wrestling and being given the opportunity to compete for the championship and then winning the championship was really like the stamp, was like the button on it. Like, yeah, this right here really helped me feel like, yeah, I'm a singles guy now. Like, it was kind of the confirmation that I needed. Being given the confidence from a company to hold that position, it really helps you feel like, okay, I might be doing something right here.
How did your in-ring style have to change from going from a tag team wrestler to then a singles competitor?
It had to increase. You know, you got to get more creative. You got to put in more work. You gotta broaden the right. If you and me are a tag team, we got our double team. We got our routine figured out. You know what I'm saying? There's always a lot of the time there would be a lot of setup and payoff between me and my partner. Being double team styled wrestlers, and there were certain things that I tried to transition from my tag team days into my solo. There's a couple of things. Hey, I might be able to use some things that we used as a tag team, but tweak it a little bit to where I can use it on my own, which I did with a few things. But it was more of that. It was okay, a little more work. It all falls on you now. All the creativity, all the oohs and ahs, and even the negative. And if you shit the bed, you shit the bed. Just you. You can't look at your partner and go, man, you know what you did that messed us up last night? You know what I'm saying? It's all on you. So you gotta look in that mirror and you gotta go, you know what you did that messed us up last night? And you gotta be content with having those conversations with yourself. Because it's the only way you grow and you learn. And you actually learn from the mistakes and the falls more than you do the successes.
Absolutely. What do you think are some of the maybe mistakes or situations where you don't consider yourself successful and that actually were very helpful for you and your career long term?
I think one of the things that, especially in my younger days, and I will admit, I could still fall into those pitfalls now, outside distractions from the business, personal life, outside profession, if you have one, outside of the business, and the social life, mostly. I will admit that, Ric Flair being my grandfather, I have been quite keen of the party lifestyle my entire life. And that was a big thing with me and my partner when we were young. That endured throughout most of our partnership. And, I will admit that it's something that if I can go back now, I would probably focus a little harder on a little less of the social life, a little less of the having a good time, and just like cramming, hitting the books, figuratively, and really dedicating more of my time to this. Whether it be in the gym, diet, training in the ring, just networking, being at events, trying to travel a little bit more, get across the country. I was distracted a lot, and
it happens.
The ladies out there could be a little bit of a distraction too. You know what I'm saying? So I might have made a couple of mistakes in that respect too, but that's a whole other podcast.
Exactly. So you brought up Mike Santana.
Yes.
And earlier this year, you worked the Puerto Rican weekend. You are someone who very much carries their heritage and their culture, proudly. It's always somewhere on your gear. How much did that mean to you?
So, on multiple levels, because I appreciate the comment about the heritage, I will admit that I have tried to embrace it a little more in the past 2 or 3 years, where in the first, majority of my career, I didn't run away from it or hide from it. It just wasn't something that I went out of my way to wear or to sell or to present. I may have, when I was younger, had a stigma that, and you may or may not agree with this, that wrestling can typecast you as well.
Absolutely.
Just like anything else. And a lot of the wrestling business, especially here in the United States, I feel has not exactly grasped or understood the Latin American culture. Whether it be Mexico or Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, or there's wrestling all over the world. There's wrestling in all of our territories and across our entire culture. And yes, we've been, tearing it up since the 90s here in the States. And you see more in the modern era, we're starting to get more of that Latin influence. But, for a long time it wasn't. And a long time it felt like you were kind of pushed in a corner or in a category. And at least in the first couple of years of my career, I was afraid of being pushed into that corner and kept in that category. Now that I've been around for a little while and I have, maybe a little bit of a name for myself, I feel more comfortable in representing it, in putting it out there, in wearing it. And Puerto Rican Weekend has played a big part in that, especially the first one. Earlier this year I did the second one, last year I did the first one, and I could honestly say that both shows were probably the most electric, live energy, passionate shows that I've been a part of, whether even if I was just standing in the crowd. But the fact that Mike Santana, who I have a long history with, we grew up together, we go back to the Lower East Side together, backyard wrestling, the whole deal. That's my brother right there. Shout out to Mike Santana, tearing it up. House of Glory, TNA, tearing the world, NXT. Watch out WWE in a few years, WrestleMania main events, you know what I'm talking about? I always got to give the shout out to my bro Mike Santana because he's the one that gave me the call, he's the one that reached out, he's the one that gave me the opportunity and put me on with so many other of our local guys with the intent of spotlighting some of the local talent that may not have gotten those opportunities in the past or may have been pushed into those corners or those categories, and because of it haven't had the platform to show what they really can. And some of our wrestlers in our culture are some of the hottest wrestlers in the territory.
Absolutely.
And they deserve the spotlight.
100%. And how freeing is that mentally for you to now just be able to this is where I'm from.
I am. It's super freeing. And in fact, you mentioned that I wear it a lot now. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to take it off. I've always been somebody that I try to change the look up as often as I can. But when you're wearing those flags and you feel the energy from the people that feel that pride and you have that support, Puerto Rican Weekend included, just walking out and feeling the energy and seeing those flags waving all over the arena. It's like you have to stand there. If you go back and watch the footage, there's a moment you actually see me soak it in and take a deep breath in the entranceway because you really have to drink it in and enjoy. Try to, one thing a lot of guys, sometimes the moment is so big, you're so in your head, you're so nervous, you don't take the time to enjoy the moment. And that was one, it was worth just, let me pause for a minute. Let me enjoy this. Let me feel this.
Take it in.
Yeah, let me feel this because I don't know if I don't remember the last time I felt this feeling, and who knows when I'm going to feel it again.
Right. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing.
Like going from promotion to promotion, you also have worked with the Greatest Wrestling Alliance. And you've had some issues with some people there. Sorry to bring it up, but it's a faction, the Wave. You have been, on the past few shows, you've been going back and forth with them. You've had a singles with KV, King. And then you had a tag team match where you teamed up with Shane Rose against the Wave. What are your thoughts on the Wave and where did those issues stem from?
I'm going to start by trying to be as professional as I can. I think the Wave, very talented young men, have a whole future ahead of them. And I'm pretty positive that they're going to do pretty big things. Sky's the limit for them, all three of them. But the animosity between us stems from the fact that they're all a bunch of bitches, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Johnny Rambo, their figurehead, their leader, if you will, came from these wrestling loins right here. My protege, man that I got to where he is today, molded him, taught him, beat it in his head, everything he had to do. We talked about etiquette earlier, how to present himself, got those goddamn Crocs off his feet. He has a funny way of repaying everything I did for him. Has a funny way of showing his respect and his appreciation. Not only to me, but to Adonis Stone, somebody that is not my favorite person in the world, but has openly disrespected Adonis Stone as well. Now the Wave for the past couple of months has been saying they're going to take over Loudeast, they're going to take over the Greatest Wrestling Alliance. As long as I'm there, that's not going to happen. Johnny Rambo made a big mistake a couple of months. He got in my way of becoming the Loudeast Wrestling Lionheart champion. It's a mistake I'm going to make him pay for a long time. Until I have that championship around my waist, Johnny Rambo will be haunted by me everywhere he goes. He thinks he's going to jump in front of me. He thinks he's going to challenge Adonis Stone. He thinks he's going to take that belt first over my dead body. And if the Wave wants to get involved, I got something for them every single time they want to stick their nose in my business. You mentioned Shane Rose. I got to give a shout out to my man Shane Rose because Shane Rose stepped up when nobody else would and he backed me up. Had no reason to. Had no history with me whatsoever. Except for the fact that he also sees the disrespect. He also sees the unnecessary behavior that the Wave is walking around perpetrating between Loudeast Wrestling and the Greatest Wrestling Alliance and beyond. And I appreciate Shane Rose for wanting to do the right thing, for stepping up, and for being the person that's going to stand by my side against the Wave. And by that ration, I got to give a little shout out to Adonis Stone because he stepped up at the last show, Boys and Girls Club here in the Bronx. And, things didn't go the way we wanted. Of course, because the Wave always got a little ace up their sleeve. I'm talking to you, LK. And I got something for them too, though. It ain't over, not by a long shot.
What do you think it's their main issue with the frustration that they've been feeling?
They don't want to work for it. Talking about these young kids today, right? This entitlement. They feel they've been around for a cup of coffee, they've been around for 5 minutes, and they feel they deserve something. Johnny Rambo walking around says he deserves to be the Lionheart. Why? Because he's had a couple of matches here and there, some good, some of them shit. Who cares? Who cares about Johnny Rambo? Not the Loudeast Wrestling fans, not the Greatest Wrestling Alliance fans. Problem is that these kids today, they just want. And they want things to be handed to them. But they don't want to put in the work, and they don't want to earn it. And that includes every member of the Wave.
Is there any hope in bringing in Johnny Santos, your tag team partner, Latinos Unidos?
Well, you want to talk about gang warfare? If there's anybody that I could bring in that'll shut this down right away, it'll be Johnny Santos, and I'll even throw the big cuzzo in there as well, right? Latinos Unidos, first class, whatever you want to call us, you know who we are out there. And the only reason that the boys haven't joined me in this war that I've had with the Wave is a lot of the time scheduling. It's a busy business. My boys are doing it up all over the place as well, across the country, up and down the East Coast, and we haven't been able to line things up just the right way for them to come and back me up, but they're watching. We're always in contact, and they let me know that whenever I need, and whenever the situation has become too dire that I can't handle, and if maybe Shane and Stone are not enough to handle the Wave, once I give the shout out, Latinos Unidos is in the building, and when they are, this war is over.
What can you tell us about the history of Latinos Unidos? How did all that come together?
Well, we actually stem from a couple years back, I want to say 2022, working for a company called Project Codename Wrestling, a little passion project based out of New Jersey. I was the right-hand man, or served as El Capo, if you will, to Public Enemy #1, TJ Marconi.
Okay.
Together we started the Northeast's most powerful family, La Camorra, and through that association is where I started first doing business with First Class, Johnny Santos, White Henny, Miguel Sosa, my cousin Sebastian Cage, the superstar, Big Cuzzo, the Big Papi, and La Crema, let's not forget Tony Leyenda. Shout out to you, doing it up in Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican heavyweight champion for the World Wrestling Council. And when we got together, which originally was strictly for business purposes, strictly to accomplish a singular goal, but when we were together, we noticed that we had a certain combustion with each other, a certain chemistry, a certain gel between all of us. And as I mentioned, my cousin Sebastian Cage and I, very tight, very close. So once we all got together, I really felt like if we didn't continue it, we may be missing out on something that could be valuable and could be very fun for us, for the audience, and it turned out to be exactly that. We had a lot of fun in Project Codename Wrestling. In 2022, we won the Escape from New York tournament and became the Escape from New York champions, and that kind of set us on the path of getting to New Age Wrestling. It was Johnny Santos and my cousin Sebastian Cage that brought me into New Age and helped me on my path to becoming the New Age champion, have supported me in my entire reign as New Age champion. We're still together today. And that evolved into Hispanos Unidos, which was in Pro Wrestling Magic, led by the Brooklyn Outlaw Mike Donovan. And then Latinos Unidos, you can say, is kind of a spin-off of the original Hispanos Unidos, which makes up of a lot of first-class members. It was almost like Hispanos Unidos and First Class came together to form a little bit of a super group, and that's where you got Latinos Unidos from.
Okay. All right. There's a whole history.
There's a whole history. Yeah. It spans years. It spans multiple companies, multiple states, up and down, all the way from Massachusetts, all the way down to New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and down to Washington D.C. So we've kind of been all over the place, and we've been tearing it up, and no end in sight. As far as I'm concerned, we're just getting started.
There we go. Now, what are some of your proudest accomplishments in your career?
I gotta throw the New Age Wrestling Heavyweight Championship out there, being my first heavyweight championship, holding it for so long, and being the person affiliated with, when you think of the company, I'm the face that you see, I'm the face at the top of the card, and as I mentioned to you earlier, just being given the confidence to be in that position, it makes a lot of the journey and a lot of the things we have to go through worth it. Mm-hmm. They say there's not a lot of things in our business that are real, but winning that first championship is one of those things. And it's a very true statement because it is a very real moment. So I'm always very grateful to New Age Wrestling for giving me this chance. Wrestling in House of Glory and wrestling for Puerto Rican Weekend, the pride, excitement, and just what the feeling you come away with performing at those events, pride is definitely the word that it's something that I felt for days, both times. Last year, this year, maybe this year the feeling was even stronger. Like it's a feeling that kind of lingers with you for almost like, a week or two, like how amazing that event was and how it feels. And it pumps you up and it motivates you and it makes you want to hit the next town and it makes you want to get to the gym and it makes you makes you want to drink and battle party and everything. It's celebrated all kind of ways. So definitely the Puerto Rican weekends have been great. Wrestling for the NWA. A lot of the people that grew up with me knew that the NWA was like my favorite. Like 80s NWA was my jam. Okay. It's like, I grew up on 80s WWF, and, in the 90s Attitude Era. But it was in the 90s that my knowledge started to open up. I became aware of independent wrestling. I became aware of like Lucha Libre and Japanese wrestling and started studying and tape trading in the 90s and getting those NWA tapes and the Japanese tapes and it was watching that 80s NWA and watching the Horsemen and watching Flair and Dusty and the Road Warriors and Magnum and all of that I was like, this is my stuff right here. So getting to just being given the, hey, you may be on an NWA show. The first feeling is like, get out of here. No.
The weight to that.
Yeah, what? And then, walking through the curtain, being there, being backstage, getting to interact with the crew and walking through that curtain and just having that feeling, having that credit, seeing your face on that poster is one of those priceless feelings. Again, that you gotta try and enjoy those little moments that make all of this worth it, especially all the hardship and the stuff we go through. And that was one of them. And I would say making my debut for MLW at the ECW Arena, 2023. Big ECW fan growing up. Me and my former partner, late 90s, ECW was our number one. We used to say that if we break into the business, ECW is where we wanted to end up. We were very sad in 2001 when we went out of business. There might have been some tears shed. But being able to walk into that building and just, again, drinking it in and walking around and looking around, walking through the hallways, making that entrance, walking the aisle in the ECW arena, taking the picture in front of the famous wall, was like, there are some moments where I've thought, you know what, if it all ends tomorrow, I think I'm good. Because I never thought I would be able to do some of the things that I got to do, and that was one of them. So the ECW arena, and speaking of moments that it could have been over after, getting a step into the ring with the Rock and Roll Express with my former partner, 2020 I think we're going back to, and like I said, being a fan of the NWA and my favorite tag team being the Midnight Express, and just their feud with the Rock and Roll Express over 20 years being like the greatest tag team feud of all time, being able to step into the ring with the Rock and Roll Express was like, I could not believe it was happening. And when it was over, I looked at my partner and said, we could retire tomorrow. And I think I'm all right. Yeah.
Well, man, thank you very much for taking the time to sit down.
Of course.
It was an absolute pleasure talking with you. Anything you would like to plug to the cameras?
Hey, just that anytime you could get yourself down to Ridgefield Park to watch Loudeast Wrestling, check your local listings, check your social medias, Loudeast Wrestling, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Check it out, come down. It's a great show. And by that ration, Loudeast Wrestling, Greatest Wrestling Alliance. Follow them on social media. I promise you, you will have a good time if you come to one of these events. And your boy, right here, the Absolute Kris Kage. Absolute Kage on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on social media at Kris Kage Tube. Check out your boy. And hopefully I get to be on Ringville one more time with my man Kevin.
Oh, for sure. Always welcome back.
Appreciate it.
And everything will be in the description below so you can find it as well. And until everyone, we out.